Today's story is Dippy and the Dinosaur Egg Mystery. One sunny morning in the lush green valley, Dippy the young dino was wandering through the forest, his long neck swaying as he hummed a happy tune. The forest was alive with the sounds of chirping birds and rustling leaves. As Dippy loved exploring every corner of it, he enjoyed finding new plants to nibble on and discovering hidden paths along the tall trees. As Dippy made his way through a particularly dense part of the forest, he spotted something unusual on the ground. It was a large, speckled egg, resting gently in a soft patch of moss. Dippy's eyes widened in surprise. "A dinosaur egg," he exclaimed. "But who does it belong to?" The egg was all alone, with no nest or parent in sight. Dippy knew he couldn't just leave it there. What if something happened to it? He gently nudged the egg with his nose and felt a faint warmth. "I have to find its family," Dippy decided, determination shining in his eyes. "The egg needs to be with its parents." Dippy carefully scooped up the egg with his tail, cradling it as he began his journey through the forest. He knew many dinosaur families lived nearby, and he was determined to find the right one. His first stop was the Stegos family. Mama Stego was busy munching on some ferns when Dippy approached her. "Excuse me, Mama Stego," Dippy said politely. "I found this egg in the forest. Is it yours?" Mama Stego peered at the egg closely and shook her head. "No, dear, that's not my egg, but thank you for asking. Maybe try the Spike family. They live near the river." Dippy thanked her and continued on his way, carefully balancing the egg as he walked. When he reached the river, he spotted Mrs. Spike sunbathing on a rock. "Hello, Mrs. Spike," Dippy called out. "I found an egg in the forest. Could it belong to you?" Mrs. Spike waddled over to have a closer look. She examined the egg, but then shook her head sadly. "I'm afraid that's not one of mine, Dippy. But why don't you ask the Pterodactyl family? They nest up in the tall trees on the other side of the valley." Dippy nodded, thanking Mrs. Spike. He carefully crossed the river, taking care not to slip on the wet rocks. As he climbed up the hill to the tall trees, he spotted the Pterodactyl family circling overhead. "Hello up there," Dippy called out, waving with his tail. "I found an egg in the forest. Is it yours?" Papa Pterodactyl swooped down and landed gracefully beside Dippy. He examined the egg with his sharp eyes, but shook his head. "Sorry, Dippy, but that egg isn't one from our nest. Why don't you try asking Mrs. Ankilo? She has a nest nearby, and she might know something." Dippy was starting to feel a little discouraged, but he didn't give up. He continued on, carrying the egg carefully as he made his way to Mrs. Ankilo's nest. She was busy tidying up her nest when Dippy arrived. "Hello, Mrs. Ankilo," Dippy greeted. "I've been looking for the family of this egg. Could it be yours?" Mrs. Ankilo examined the egg and smiled kindly to Dippy. "No, sweetheart, that's not mine either. But I think I know who it might belong to. There's a new dinosaur family that just moved in, a family of Brontos. They live in a cozy spot near the waterfall. Perhaps it's theirs." Dippy's face brightened with hope. "Thank you, Mrs. Ankilo. I'll go check right away." He carefully trotted through the forest, making his way to the waterfall. As he approached, he spotted a nest nestled in a bed of soft ferns, and beside it stood a worried-looking Mama Bronto. Dippy's heart skipped a beat. "Hello," he called out. "Is this your egg?" Mama Bronto's eyes widened with relief. "Oh, yes, it is. Thank you so much for finding it," she exclaimed, rushing over to take the egg from Dippy. "I was so worried. I must have accidentally rolled it away while fixing the nest. You are such a kind young dinosaur to bring it back." Dippy smiled, his heart swelling with happiness. "I'm glad I could help. I knew the egg needed to be with its family." Mama Bronto gently placed the egg back in her nest and looked at Dippy with gratitude. You've shown great kindness and responsibility, Dippy. Thank you for going on this adventure to help us. You're a true friend to us all in the valley." Dippy blushed, feeling proud of what he had done. He waved goodbye to the Bronto family and headed back home, feeling warm and content inside. As he walked back through the forest, he realized how wonderful it felt to help others and make a difference. From that day on, Dippy became known as the friendliest and most helpful dinosaur in the valley, and he knew that whenever he saw someone in need, he would always lend a helping hand or tail. That was Dippy and the Dinosaur Egg Mystery. Thanks for listening to Super Bedtime Stories. We hope you enjoyed your lesson tonight. Please make sure to like and subscribe. If you enjoyed this book, feel free to click on one of the videos on the screen for another good, heartwarming family fun story. We strive to provide good moral bedtime stories that parents know are safe for their little ones that also have a good lesson. See you soon.